I am beyond ready to wear my spring fragrances. I've been really excited to film this video for you guys. So I'm gonna have a couple of different spring fragrance videos. This one is 20 of my either niche, a little bit higher end designer spring fragrances, and then I will have a secondary, really affordable Middle Eastern as well spring fragrances. So for now, let's get into these 20 beautiful spring scents. Hello my gorgeous ones, welcome to Aleisha Budget Beauty. My name is Aleisha. Here on my channel, I love all things affordable fashion, beauty, and fragrance. I do hauls, tutorials, reviews, seasonal roundups of fragrances, all sorts of fun stuff. So if that sounds good to you, please subscribe, stick around, be a friend. All right, you guys, so my collection is fairly large and I tend to go overboard whenever I do these categorical kind of videos where I can't narrow it down. I end up having like 27 and these crazy numbers. My friend Jamie, not another perfume channel, is always kind of cracking up at me like, of course you would have 27, you know, fragrances that you can wear to the mall or something like that. Like I'm nuts. But I decided, instead of making it so hard on myself and having to pare it down, that I was going to do 20 of my little bit more expensive or niche. And these are also not ones that you see all the time. Like, I really think some of these, a lot of you may have never heard of, or maybe you forgot about. And just because they are in this category doesn't mean they're all extremely expensive. I did get good deals on some of these, so I will let you know that if that is the case. And then I do plan on doing another video that is my more affordable, maybe my celebrity fragrances or my ones that are just more like value type, and then my Middle Eastern as well. That will come in a separate video. All right, so let's go ahead and start with my first one here. This is Heavenly Lilies. This is by Sphinx. And this is a little bit on the more expensive side, but also cheaper than a lot of designer when designer is brand new. This I think runs around like $120, $130, but they do deals a lot of the times where you can get bundles. So keep a lookout for that if you ever want to purchase from Sphinx. And this is, I mean, 100 ml. It's gorgeous, so I think it's a good value for the money. And when I got the Discovery set a long time ago, I was so surprised this was my favorite. This was my first full-size purchase, I believe. Either this or Strawberry Sugar High. But I like this one a lot better than Strawberry Sugar High. It's one of my favorite florals in my entire collection. I find it to be absolutely gorgeous. And there's a lot going on in here. I'm gonna read the notes because there are a lot. This is gardenia, Indian tuberose, carnation, honey, plum, palisander, rosewood, bitter almond, Egyptian jasmine, musk, woody notes, saffron, cedar, ambergris, tonka bean, almond, lemon, bergamot, and coffee. It sounds like a cacophony of scents, right? But it's blended so beautifully. I think the way that the florals and the tonka, honey, citruses, and like kind of that cedar woodiness, the way all of those are like the main things. I know I read a lot of notes, but those, I don't actually really get much coffee in here, to be honest. But the way that those all blend together, it gives it this beautiful warmth. It almost smells like there would be amber in here, or like muskmellow, something like amberette, but there's not. It's very warm, it's feminine. The florals are not like a scratchy floral, or they're not like the floral that makes you want to sneeze. They're not heady florals. It's just this beautiful bouquet of the warmth and then like a slight citrusy thing and like that cedar. I have found that I love cedar and florals together. I think that they just balance each other so beautifully. It is absolutely one of my favorites, you guys. That is Sphinx Heavenly Lilies. All right, next up we have Avogustos. This is by Korres Fragrances. So that is a Greek brand that has hair care, body care, skin care, but they also have fragrances. I did a video about a year ago on ranking my Korres collection, if you wanna go back and see that. But this, I think, is definitely, if not my favorite, in my top favorite of my Korres. and it's a fig fragrance. And I love fig, and I love when fig is kind of like smooth and has some aromatic qualities to it. So this is mandarin, lavender, bergamot, fig, lemon tree leaves, orange blossom, ambergris, musk, and cedar wood. There's something very relaxing about this fragrance. This is one that I like to sit outside and let the breeze hit me. It's that perfect, like going into really warm weather, but you might have a slight cool breeze, or vice versa. Maybe it's like kind of cool, but there's like a little humidity in the air. It's just one of those fragrances that thrives in that kind of weather. This sits a little bit closer to the skin. It's a little bit more personal, but I think it is gorgeous. It is one of those that if you don't want to go spring florals necessarily, and you want that kind of in between to have a little bit of citrus, you don't want it ultra summery, this is a perfect one. This is Avogustos by Korres. All right, next we have two by Imaginary Authors. I love this house so much. I actually have my eye on 2 or 3 others I want to add to my collection. I think I have 8 full size maybe, and there's 2 others I'm dying to get as well. But this is St. Julep, and this is Fox in the Flower Bed. So it has some notes on the back here. This is jasmine, tulips, frankincense, wildflower, honey, pink peppercorn, silver thistle, alpine air. I think this is a gorgeous, gorgeous floral. I do think you need to, like, if you hate florals, I don't think that you're gonna like this, because it's definitely a floral heavy dominant fragrance. But I just think it's done in such a pretty sort of like field of flower. I mean, I really do envision like a fox in the flower bed. I love how that they name this. It's like a field of flowers, and you just want to go kind of like lay and let the flowers kind of envelop around you. It's encased around your head, and you have some of that, the alpine air that's in this. Like there's a little bit of this, something off in the distance that is fresh and almost cooling in a way, where it's like spring is in the air, that sort of a fragrance. It's not like a late spring, summer fragrance. I get much more of the, oh, we have some spring in the air, spring is coming. I find this one also very relaxing. I think this is like a good bedtime floral as well. I think it's ultra pretty, but you do need to like some florals to like this one. Now we have St. Julep. This is just one of my favorite fragrances that I own. I think it is done so masterfully. This is sweet mint, tangerine, southern magnolia, bourbon, grisalva, sugar cube, and crushed ice. This seriously smells like a mint julep. Like you are that little Southern belle going to the horse races. You're like South Carolina. You got your little drink. You got your cute, like, or the Kentucky Derby. You got your cute little hat. That is what I get from this. The way that this is blended so perfectly with the mint and like a little bit of something citrusy happening. And you do get this sort of like crushed sugar ice vibe with this too. And then the bourbon is really subtle. It's not like an overly boozy fragrance. It's like a proper demure lady who likes to still have a good time. And I mean, maybe she'll get a little wild later, but I think this is done so well. It's such a unique fragrance. I really don't have anything that smells like it. Even some of my more like minty fragrances, like the mint is almost like too dominant. It's perfectly done in this. I love St. Julep from Imaginary Authors so much. All right, next up we have Cedar Violet. This is by Aerin Fragrances. I actually think a lot of Aerin fragrances are very spring, Mediterranean, honeysuckle. I do have the Rose de Grace that I want to talk about, and I'm planning on doing a rose video. I had that request whenever I reviewed Fleur Majesty by Cavalli. People are like, well, what's a good alternative? I'm gonna do a video that has some high-end and some affordable rose fragrances, so I'll save that one for later. But I just think Aerin, and I think fresh and spring and things blooming. This Cedar Violet is so freaking beautiful to me. It's very simple. I mean, there are a few other notes in it besides cedar, and it's violet leaf. I believe there's lily. I think there's some sandalwood and some amber in here, but really the cedar and the violet do most of the talking. I do think the amber kind of like warms it up and keeps it from being like ultra woody with the cedar, but it's such a pretty fragrance. It doesn't project a whole lot. This is one, I've worn this to church a bunch. It's just one of those I feel like makes me feel kind of calm, centered, and pretty and kind of proper. I really, really love Aerin. It's so sophisticated and refined. Like not too much going on, but really, really beautiful. Not the cheapest fragrances. You can sometimes find good deals on them. I don't remember how much I paid for this, but I know it was over $100. So it's one that you have to, you know, really think about if you want to purchase it. I do recommend getting the Discovery set. It doesn't have all of them, but off of Sephora, that Discovery set sometimes goes on sale for like $25, $30, and you can try them and then decide if you want to invest in this fragrance. But this is Cedar Violet. All right, this next fragrance I think is actually fairly similar to Cedar Violet that I just talked about. This is Alt Fragrances Desert Phantom. This is a dupe of Mojave Ghost. Very, 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 very close dupe, you guys. Very close dupe. And this one has a very similar thing going. This also has some cedar and violet in it, but this one has a little bit more amber. It has the musk-smell amberette, so it's like amber in the base, amber at the top. It also has some sandalwood, so very similar notes. It's just a little bit warmer, probably projects just a little bit more. The last one is a little bit more close to the skin and intimate. I think this one projects a little bit better. But I do think this has like a very like clean kind of like skin scent violet thing going with it. I think this is a really great gym scent, an everyday scent. I know a lot of people love Mojave Ghost. This performs really well, you guys. I recommend, I mean, I know Byredo, whatever. I love Byredo scents. I just think that their bottles are so basic and so expensive, and they don't always last. And this one lasts a pretty good while. So I recommend this. I really, really do. That is Desert Phantom. All right, this next fragrance here I think is terribly underrated. This is Arizona Bloom by Floral Street. Super underrated fragrance in my opinion. And it's not a dupe, but it reminds me a lot of another Byredo that is Gypsy Water. And I actually just did a video of Juliana's Perfumes that has a dupe of that fragrance that is pretty spot on. So I do recommend that fragrance, but they're not exact. It just kind of gives me a similar vibe to it. But this, you guys, I know some people say like, oh, I don't like coconut and I don't want coconut in it. I don't really pick out the coconut in this. There's something maybe ever so slight, like in the background coconut husk in this, like a dry sort of coconut, but I get more of this gorgeous kind of like smooth, peppery skin scent that's not overly peppery, but just something to give it like a little bit of like oomph to it. It's warm. This is so addictive to me. Like, this is truly one of my favorite fragrances. It's musky in a very smooth way. It has some fig leaf in it and some oak moss. And maybe the coconut gives it that smoothness, because like I just don't smell coconut, but I believe that coconut is acting as a player in this to make it, maybe it is the smoothness, but you guys, if you're scared of coconut, I personally don't really get coconut here. I just think this is one of the most underrated skin scents, because I know a lot of skin scents can start to kind of smell the same, or these sort of like clean musky scents, they smell the same. This is so special in my opinion. Like I just love this fragrance. I think this could be like an everyday scent for me, a signature scent. It's one of those perfectly like could wear it anywhere, anytime. I absolutely love Arizona Bloom. All right, this next one is a fragrance I never hear anyone talk about. I never hear anyone talk about this house ever. This is Hermetica and this is Peony Pop. I love their bottles for one. There's something about that green and gold that I really, really love. Now, I did get a sample of this, a couple of samples off of Avant-Garde, it may have been. I can't remember where I got the sample, and I just really, really loved this. It stood out to me, and I ended up getting this off of Mercari. So I got it a little bit cheaper, but I've seen it around 120 or something like that on FragranceNet. But this is a like in your face, pretty strong raspberry, black currant, rose fragrance. There's some geranium in here too, not overly so. Geranium can be kind of like hit or miss for me. Sometimes it can be like too bitter, too biting, but it's just right in this to give it like a little bit of edge to it. There's also plum, so there's this like really rich, deep, juicy red, purple fruits to this, mixed in with a little bit of bergamot, so you've got like a little splash of something to brighten it up, and then with that kind of jammy rose, and it has musk cedar, everything in the bottom that I love, amber, so it has some warmth to it, and it's a beautiful fragrance. It may honestly not be for everyone, but I think that it's kind of underrated, and I wish more people knew about it, talked about it, this house in general. This is one I would probably recommend maybe getting a discovery set, trying to get some samples or something, get your nose on them, because they may not be everyone's cup of tea, but if you like it, I think you'll love it. All right, this next one is Roberto Cavalli's Paradiso Azzurro. And truth be told, I was disappointed when I got this because I thought I was getting the original bottle. This is gorgeous, like ombre blue bottle. And this is really pretty too though. I mean, the cap's really pretty. I got this off Joma shop for super, super cheap. And there's a lot of Roberto Cavalli that people don't talk about. And I have like mixed feelings about the ones that I have. Like, I don't think they're the most amazing fragrances. There's something kind of dated about a lot of Roberto Cavalli, but I do think for the price that you can get them on places like Joma shop, that they're kind of underrated at the same time. So this one, I do really enjoy. I do think it's maybe like a slightly dated smelling, but it doesn't smell old. It has the tuberose in this. The florals are kind of that 2000s, like 2000 to 2015 sort of floral vibe. You do have to like some tuberose, some pretty strong lavender in here as well. I get a little bit of that aromatic, a little bit of something kind of like fresh and aquatic here. I know there's peach in here, and I don't get a ton of fruitiness, to be honest. I do get like a smooth, I think that the cashmere wood in this keeps this from being just an overly flower bomb in your face. I think it smooths things out. I think it's really quite lovely. And this is one that I think is a great fragrance for like gifting to like your aunt, your mom. And I think it would be really fresh and modern for like an older generation would find this to be still pleasing to their nose, but maybe outside of like all the old school fragrances that they know, maybe to some of us that have smelled a lot of things and a lot of current and modern things wouldn't find this that exciting. But I think there's something very like classic and beautiful about it as well. So really, really inexpensive. If you like to take a gamble and blind buy, you know, and it sounds pretty to you, I'm not going to tell everyone to rush out and like, this is like a huge hidden gem. It was money well spent for me, but it may not also be for everyone, but I think it's really pretty. That is Roberto Cavalli's Paradiso Azzurro. All right, next up we have Unconditional Love by Philosophy. And you guys, this is so simple. There's not a ton going on in here, but my goodness, does this smell really, really nice. This is just some raspberry, water lily that I barely get, and some cashmere and vanilla. It smells mostly like a raspberry vanilla fragrance, but I do think that the water lily gives it like an ever so slight, like just little punch of something like fresher than just like a pure gourmand. No one talks about this fragrance. I almost included Falling in Love as well. That one is basically almost the same fragrance, but with blackberry. So it's like a little bit denser or like just a little bit richer. I just find blackberry to be a little bit more of like a fall leaning, and like raspberry is just like a little bit brighter. So that's why I included this one instead. But you guys, if you are just looking for a simple raspberry vanilla that doesn't smell cheap, this is really good and nobody talks about it. That is Unconditional Love by Philosophy. All right, this next one is another one that I've never heard anyone talk about. This is Loewe Solo Ella, or Ella. It might be Ella actually, because this is a Spanish designer brand. This might be Ella. Okay, but it's Loewe Solo Ella, and it isn't EDT, so this is not the most long-lasting fragrance, and it's still fairly pricey. I got mine off a Joma shop. I think I paid around 70, something like that. But for an EDT, that is pretty pricey. But you guys, I love this fragrance. And I have a memory tie. I wore this layered with something else to go see Beetlejuice, like the remake, and with my kids. And so anytime I smell it, I just think of that day. I know exactly what I was wearing, clothes-wise. I know I was wearing this fragrance. And I will like randomly crave it, I think because I also have fond memory ties to it. But this is a kind of like fruit medley, orange blossom and heliotrope, sort of like a purpley, fluffy floral with some pear and some jasmine. There's some green tea in here, but the green tea doesn't make it like real earthy or anything. It just kind of is very, very much in the background. I get much more of this kind of fluffed floral. We also have some violet and damask rose and some cedar. So it is there's a lot of floral going on here, but I think those like peach, pear, orange, like fruits, and then that like fluffiness to this, it is such a unique fragrance. It's one of the most like unique fragrances. It also doesn't feel overly complicated in my collection. So I know it is kind of a gamble because not very many people know about Loewe, or you don't hear about them very often, and it is an EDT. But if you find it on Joma shop somewhere like that, I say grab it because I think it's a little gem. Now, another gem, another brand that I rarely hear people talk about is Merchant of Venice. And this is an example of a brand who the original price may be kind of pricey, and they have these gorgeous, luxurious looking bottles. But when you get these on sale, you can get them almost dirt cheap. Super, super cheap. Like I have another one, it's more summery. It's a gorgeous citrus cedar fragrance. I paid like 50 bucks for that one. This one, I think I paid maybe closer to 70. It's still cheaper than designer, and it's so stunning. So this one is some hawthorn and heliotrope, almond blossom, tuberose, vanilla, tonka bean, cedar, mandarin orange. And it is such a fluffy, light, wispy, airy kind of tuberose, heliotrope, almond. Like you've got all the like kind of fluffy qualities in there, like the tonka bean, the heliotrope, the almonds, like all those kind of like powdery, but it does not smell like baby powder. It's just this like lifted, fluffy cloud of the tuberose, and it is such a beautiful fragrance. I remember I got this at the very tail end of summer going into fall, and it was a day that was still kind of warm, and I wore this laying in our hammock, and I was just like, oh my gosh, this is stunning. It doesn't project a whole lot. I mean, someone next to you is gonna be able to smell this, but this is like, oh my goodness, you could wear it anywhere, not offend someone. If they're up close, they're gonna think that you smell amazing. This could be a bedtime scent. It's so soft and beautiful. Like my tuberose lovers, this is done in like the most delicate, light way that I think I've ever smelled tuberose. Fantastic. Oh, I didn't even say what this is called. This is La Fenice, and it's Merchant of Venice. All right, this next one is by Elysian. So you guys know that I love Elysian and I've talked about them a lot, but this was a newer one that I grabbed. This is from their earlier collections and it went super on sale, but this is Peaches and Peony, or Peaches and Peony. And that's definitely what you get out of this. Like, it smells like a bouquet of peonies, and then you have some fresh peaches sitting there. There is some praline and some ambroxan in here, so it's kind of got this like ever so slight warm nuttiness to it as well. It's a fairly simple fragrance. I don't feel like this one is overly complicated, but it doesn't smell synthetic either. I think it's really pretty. This is perfectly springtime to me. This is like spring, maybe even going into summer, like some summer peaches. But so maybe I'm going to say end of spring going into summer. That is what I get out of this. Beautiful. If you love peony and peach, it's kind of a no-brainer. No-brainer. All right, this next one I think might be discontinued or going to discontinue. I don't know. But this is Indigo Valley from Skylar. And I got it super, super cheap. And they don't really discount their fragrances that much. They'll have sales every once in a while, but not as much as this one. You guys, this is so unique. Like, I almost don't even believe this is Skylar. I mean, I've grown to really like Skylar, but I always kind of feel like Skylar does this like pretty simplicity really well. I'm gonna read you guys the notes on this. It is blueberry, lotus, chocolate, marshmallow, suede, jasmine, damask rose, clearwood, musk, and vanilla bean. So think about it. You have this kind of like blue tartness. I mean, I know you don't smell blue, but I do. I smell color. I do smell this blue. And you have the lotus too. So you think of like a water flower and then this like a blue blueberry. So it smells like a blue fragrance, but it also smells like a brown fragrance. Stick with me, because you have the chocolate and you have this suede and you have like a little bit of this like the clearwood, like some woodiness going on. But it's also very kind of fresh. It's taking a kind of fresh floral with like a tangy, the blueberry is very subtle. You don't really smell blueberry. You smell this kind of tart blue quality to the fragrance. And then you've got some of the marshmallow with this dark chocolate and woodiness, and somehow it works. The suede is so smooth. It is not this like really like strong stripped like leather smell. It's just this like smooth, aquatic, but like kind of gourmand, very strange, but they pull it off. If you are kind of adventurous in that way, this is like a little hidden gem that again, I can't believe it's Skylar because it is so kind of complicated. So that is Indigo Valley. Okay, this is another one nobody talks about. It's not even on Fragrantica, but it's been out for a couple of years and it's sold at Sephora. This is Abbott Papaya Isla. And Abbott is a New York brand, but by smelling this, I would think this was like a Costa Rican brand or something. Like, this is very green, and this is just papaya, and then their middle notes, they just say are jungle greens. They keep it very vague, and amber or amberette. So it is this tropical green fragrance. Like, you can almost smell the leaves. Like, it almost, if you close your eyes, you would like hear the birds and like the insects rattling, and that you would open your eyes and just see these lush, slick green leaves by you. It's so good. And it almost wears like a greener version of Born in Roma Coral Fantasy. It's very strong. I find Coral Fantasy to be kind of like a beast sort of fragrance, but that is more like fruity, while the papaya is like a green papaya too. It's not really like an overly ripened papaya. It's like a green unripened papaya, green jungle leaves, and then there's some warmth to it. Like it almost smells humid. If you like a green fragrance, if you love a green fragrance, this is one you need to get your nose on. If you absolutely cannot stand green and you have to have like sweetness, and if you are like, I want my fruits to be sweet, you may not like this, but I also think this is pretty unisex too. It's an underrated fragrance in my opinion. That is Abbott's Papaya Isla. All right, another very underrated fragrance, Pinrose Sun Saint. This is one that is randomly at Ulta that nobody ever talks about except my friend Kelly. Keep Beauty Real. She's the one that turned me on to this fragrance. But this is one that I've actually turned my friend Sarah on to it as well. She purchased it and loved it. And the way I always describe it is it's like laying on like a hot rock in the sunshine. So this kind of is like a summery scent to me too, but it's so beautiful. You have some aromatics in here. You have some eucalyptus and you have some salt. So it's like this sort of spa-like quality to it. And then you have musk. You do have some violet in here. And you also have coconut. That coconut really plays the same way in this, I think, that it maybe does to the Arizona Bloom by Floral Street, where you don't really smell coconut, but you think that it is contributing to the fragrance, giving it like an ever so slight tropical sense without being overtly tropical. So it's just this like skin scent that has this warmth to it and this comfort, and it is not too sweet. It's not too aromatic. It's not too green and bitter. It's perfectly balanced, and it is very underrated in my opinion. And that is it. I will say, this does not last a long time. That's its downfall. I do want to say that, but for about 3 hours, you're really going to enjoy it. And that is Pinrose Sun Saint. All right, you guys, I feel like I could have also called this video just underrated, no one talks about fragrances, because, oh my gosh. So this is Nomade Natural. So I think a lot of people get confused because they just hear like Chloe, it's Chloe Nomade Natural. A lot of people are like, oh yeah, I've smelled that. And I'm like, have you? And they're like, yeah, I don't like it. And they'll like say what it smells like. I'm like, no, you're not talking about the natural. Like this is a different flanker. This is so freaking good. This has dates and Mirabelle, which is a fruit, sort of like a plummy fruit. And then it also has some Egyptian jasmine and freesia. And then I believe like vanilla amber in the base. But what this smells like almost is like, it has this banana shake quality to it. Not a fakey banana, not a banana runt, not a like, there's not banana in it. So it's not for people who are scared of banana, how you've smelled banana before, if you think it smells really fake. There's not a banana note. So you're not getting that fakey banana that you don't like. This, just something about the dates and the Mirabelle together give it this kind of banana-esque quality to it. And then the vanilla and freesia in here is just blended so beautiful. It is so stunning. I turned a friend onto this, Jenny, and she's just like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. And she very sweetly credited me on Instagram when she wore it and was like, you guys got to listen to her because this is so good. And it's just, nobody talks about it. And really, is it that spring? No. Like, I don't really think it's like a winter fragrance. This one I feel like is one of those that kind of, it actually could go year round, but I think more spring or fall with this one for whatever reason. So you guys, you gotta check it out. It is Chloe Nomade Natural. All right, now the fragrance that I recommend the most to people, and this will be spoiler alert because this will be in my rose fragrance video for sure, but the rose fragrance I recommend the most to people that aren't looking for like super niche or whatever, that's fairly affordable, is going to be the Snif Rose Era. This to me blows Fleur Majesty out of the water. Out of the water. Like Fleur Majesty is like a very watered down, boring version, in my opinion, of this fragrance. I think this was done so well. This is strawberry and rose, and there's some really clean kind of laundry going on in this with some amberette and some musk and oak moss. So this, it's like everything is balanced perfectly in here, in my opinion. The rose is not too much. The strawberry isn't this like overly synthetic or sweet. It doesn't go like strawberry candy sort of vibes. And then the like cleanliness and soapy kind of laundry vibe in this, sort of like aldehydic sort of quality, is not too much either, where you just feel like you rubbed like a dryer sheet on you. It's everything is playing perfectly together, where you can smell each of those things and none is overpowering the other. I think it's fantastic. I think it is one of the best mainstream rose fragrances there is. Rose Era, you guys. So good and really pretty affordable comparatively. And this one lasts about 6 hours on my skin, so it's not bad. Rose Era, sniff. Okay, next up we have Candied Lychee by Seven Virtues. This is very simple. It is lychee, peony, amber, and vanilla. Honestly, as I was sniffing all of these today, getting ready for this video, I realized, let's see, these, it's like almost if you took these, like these all have similar qualities to them. The Loewe, I think now, and the Unconditional Love by Philosophy. So this, you know, was the raspberry vanilla. This one has the peony with the other fruits going on. And then this has the lychee and peony and vanilla. So it's almost like if you combine these, you would sort of get this, or these I think would all layer really well together as well. So I think if you like one of those, you would like the rest. But this is just a simple, fun, peppy, fruity, vanilla amber fragrance. If you love vanilla and amber and you like a little fruit, honestly, what are you waiting for? I think it's really great. This is also one that it just makes me happy whenever I wear it. It's a happy fragrance. I think it is very girly and feminine as well. Candied Lychee, Seven Virtues. All right, my very last one. I'll be kind of quick because I keep talking about Charmante by Elysian. I freaking love this fragrance so much. And honestly, I'd wear her year round. She's beautiful. She's pear and some apricot, pear leaf apricot, some champagne, some woods. It is beautiful. It's a fairy fragrance. I feel like a magical fairy whenever I wear it. I feel like it's so elegant. It's special occasion. It is pricey. I do say, like, Elysian is pricey. I do think it's worth it, packaging and everything. And it is like a special occasion fragrance for me, so I do hoard it. But if I had something to go to during spring, special occasion wise, like a wedding, something like that, I would be wearing Charmante. It's just balanced so beautifully. There's like an addictive quality about it. The amber in here, sometimes amber is very addictive for me. Not all amber is created equal. It's not all done the same. I think it's done so well in Charmante. But that is it, you guys. Those are my 20, kind of a little bit more on the higher end-ish fragrances. And I promise I will do a even more affordable version of this video. You guys let me know your thoughts in the comments. And as always, have fun shopping, budget shopping, and smelling fabulous. Bye.